Well, welcome, Anya, to Unusual Attitudes. We are here in Philadelphia at the I Am Phenom conference. It's been a beautiful week. It's been pretty awesome. My first question for you is, who is Anna Ullrich?
Before I answer that, thank you very much for having me here today for that conversation. I really appreciate that. Our whole team appreciates so much that we can be a part of I Am Phenom this year. It's really a wonderful experience. We heard a lot of inspiring speeches. So thanks for organizing this.
Sure, welcome.
Who am I? Who is Anna Ullrich? Okay, born and bred in Germany, child of the 70s already. So I'm a professional woman with more than 30 years of experience. It's amazing, time really flies. My first job, I had a working student job with Siemens, big well-known company, in the mid-90s already. So since then, a lot of things happened, life happens, like for everyone. I'm a mother, I have raised two amazing boys. They're grown-ups now, they're studying, really doing well. They are my greatest validators, but also my brutally honest critics. I'm the Global Talent Acquisition Director at Electrolux Group. I'm heading a huge operations team sitting across the world, really working completely internationally in different time zones. And that I also had the Center of Excellence where we co-create with a very inspirational, knowledgeable leadership team, the strategy, the vision for talent acquisition, where we also look at the innovation journey when it comes to tech, and this is why we're here today. So Electrolux Group, for everyone who doesn't know that, I think you know us, but we are delivering the most sustainable household appliances that you can think of. We give the experience to the consumer to eat healthy, keep their food fresh, do their laundry in the best way that they can care for their clothes, and all this really with sustainability, energy consumption in mind. That's us. We sit in over 50 markets. We have over 40,000 employees, and this is a really international crowd with a great Swedish heritage and a great culture. And this is what I'm appreciating so much.
So tell me a little bit more about Electrolux. I think everyone does know the brand. I have your products in my house, like many, many people. And just from a values perspective, put the great products that you provide to the market. What is it like to work with a company like this that it has a long legacy? But how do you maintain and communicate the values of the company in your role?
I think it comes with the leadership role in itself. It comes with creating really a team that works based on values like transparency, like openness, like mutual feedback. You said it already, we are a very stable company. We have a long tradition. We look back on a long tradition with many brands. It's not only Electrolux, we are also AEG. Here in US, we have Frigidaire. So everyone knows our brands, and this is the legacy that we also want to, let's say, pertain for our people. And at the same time, we combine this, we marry this with innovation. And innovation means that everyone should have an open mind. Everyone is asked to speak up. Transparency, openness, honesty, these are values that we are really living. And then the full diversity. We are a global company. We are celebrating our diversity, our globalness. And that brings different cultures together. There can be friction, but it's always gratifying for us. It's always bringing the fruits of having different ideas for different markets. And that's what binds me also so much. When we look at careers at Electrolux, also you can always reinvent yourself. I think this is something very important. We have a very lively internal mobility. That's what is a core value for us also.
So talk to a little bit about culture, because as a global company, and not necessarily global in nature because of how you distribute the products and services that you do, but global in nature because how do you bring all these people to work together with the same mission in mind, right? Like that is not easy because the localized culture can be very, very different. How do you, as a talent acquisition leader, how are you approaching that as you try to acquire talent to come work at Electrolux?
Our umbrella is our purpose. We are very purpose driven. We want to shape living for the better for everyone on this planet. So that means we have appliances that are really directed to certain markets, but we combine all our talents together under this umbrella, Shape Living for the Better. We always try to pull back our strategy to relate it to this purpose, Shape Living for the Better. And that relates to a lot of people. A lot of people in terms of diversity coming from different ethnic backgrounds, different countries, different global regions, but also different age groups, for example. Different educational backgrounds, different tasks that they have, different functions they work in. Everyone can relate to that purpose, and that's really what our heart is beating for. Make this world a better place with our appliances, with a great consumer experience for the better lives for the people.
So there's a lot of talk about, skills, for example.
Yeah.
How do those types of conversations, especially moving from experience-based organization to skills-based organizations, and not necessarily Electrolux in specifically, but just our whole domain is changing.
Yeah.
How do those conversations affect your communications to people inside your organization and outside as you recruit? How are you looking at skills versus other methods that we used, 5-10 years ago to evaluate people?
You said it, skills are really revolutionizing everything we do at the moment. We look at all our talent processes at the moment, and my advice is to everyone, look at your skills and continuously train yourself. Be open-minded about reinventing yourself means also reinventing your own skills base. So we are looking not only at our processes, we are looking at every individual, and we invite every individual to participate. Learning is so accessible for everyone in this world now, and that is really changing the way we work together. That would mean also for a career at Electrolux, you will acquire transferable skills that will make you employable also across different functions. You are not bound to stay within your functions. There will be much more internal mobility in the future, and this is what we're driving to that mindset shift of all our team members at the moment, not only in talent acquisition or talent management or HR, but across the whole company.
When you think about it, it can be overwhelming sometimes to think about all the change that's happening.
Yes,
And the last, I look back at this domain, and the last, previous 10 years didn't have a lot of change. You look at this last 10 years, my goodness, it is happening so rapidly. What is keeping you up at night when you think about the change and the speed at which things are changing?
Yeah.
What's got you concerned?
First of all, I sleep very well at night. Nothing is really keeping me up. And I don't want to call it a concern, but of course we're reflecting, or I'm also personally reflecting a lot about AI. What can AI do for us? What is the good? But what is also the damage AI can do? How can we work ethically with these systems? And how does our market, our customer, our candidate outside react to all the technology? We have seen great inventions. I think AI will gain even more speed. It will really revolutionize and turn around how we work in talent acquisition, but also in talent management. And there are good things on the road, but I also think we need to be careful, not so much being the early adopters, really seeing going step by step, taking more out of the shelf systems where we can say, okay, we customize, we adapt to our needs, and really try out things. We need to remain open, but at the same time, we can be a little bit cautious about it, I would say.
Sure, and I think, and we hear that too, right? I think one of the things, I ran a AI governance session here at IM Phenom. I did almost the same session last year, and I probably had 30 people in the room. This year, I had about 350 people in the room, right?
Yeah.
So I think there is a lot of interest in the governance of artificial intelligence. Now, Electrolux actually uses artificial intelligence throughout their product line. So it's not like, companies don't understand AI, but I think the difference, and I'll see if you agree with me, the difference is the effect that this can have on one's work, right? And the value that they bring. When you look at artificial intelligence, how are you helping your teams understand how to use those tools and where their value now will be in the organization? Because it does change the work that we do.
Yeah.
So how does it change your value system?
I think it does not really fundamentally change the value system, but it changes definitely how we do transactional work. Because we will, in the future, not do it anymore. The AI will do it for us. And we are on continuously developing the automations that we can use also with the Phenom tool, but also in other systems we are using. Education is key. I think we need to alert people, but then also we should not stifle their own inventive, creative minds, how they want to work with it. There are some guardrails. We have a cybersecurity team at Electrolux Group, and they're really looking into, okay, what is allowed, what are we allowed to do, what should we not do at the moment. But I think we need to really let it flow a little bit, and people will find their own way of working with it within the given guardrails and guidelines. And I think this will then create that innovation that we need. And the innovation that we need, I think Mahe said it in his speech yesterday, is that we are developing from very process-driven, very muscle-driven first, then we go into the mind work, and now the AI enables us to really dedicate our time to the meaningful moments in human interaction. We go to the heart and the gut. And that is really, that's one thing that should be our goal, our purpose, our aim when we talk about AI. Make it work for us, not against us. Make it work, not that you eliminate the work, but that the AI takes over the transactional work so that we have time for the meaningful relationship.
Yeah, I see AI as more of a personal advocate in a way, where it's just partnering with me each day. And I predicted a world, and I think it's going to come true, where you have an agent, a personal agent, and I think there's a future where people will be hired for their human skills and their agent skills as well, right? So it's like you're hiring the person and their assistant at the same time, because there's exponential value in that. In other words, critical thinking, strategy, planning, communication, those are all human skills, and the AI is not replacing those things. And I think those things are going to become amplified. Do you see that as well, like those skills in particular?
It's a great thought. Thanks for sharing that with me and the public here. I want to say I agree with you. I think we will need to be educated on how we educate our AI, but the decisions need to be made by humans still. And AI can only support this and help us with bringing the data to us, visualize the data, really make it easy for us to take educated decisions. Yep. That is probably the future. We should not eliminate the human factor at all when it comes to decision making. And especially in talent acquisition, when we recruit people, and with recruiting you have so much influence on other people's lives. We should use it for the good, but not use it for machine-made decisions.
Yep. Agreed. Well, let's back up a little bit and just talk about your own journey, into your role, becoming a leader in talent acquisition at Electrolux. But that's not where you started. Yeah. Where did your career actually start?
Actually, I started out in marketing communications. I had a few odd jobs. I lived outside of Germany, abroad. I spent a few years in the Middle East, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, studied in Spain. So it took me a little bit of time to figure out what I wanted to become. Then I started in marketing communications, had a good career. I founded my family in parallel, was not happy anymore. We moved cities, and then I worked remote. And that was, for me, a little bit reflection time. And then I thought, why not try out something completely different? And it was in the 2006, 2007, when all the social networks came up, where finally the world understood, and it's a revolution maybe a little bit like what we see with AI now, the world understood recruiting is not only HR work anymore, it's a marketing task. And this is where I came in. I created social network, active sourcing, executive headhunting in a small boutique firm, and then moved on to Electrolux Group, to my career. And this is really the message I want to give to the next generation also. It's never too late to reinvent yourself, to do something completely new. If you're not happy, your job should make you happy. It should be really your passion. Passion also for me is nothing that comes heaven sent. You can find your passion, and you can learn to love something, and you can always make the most out of it. I'm a 100% the glass is half full person, eternally optimistic. And I would say even in my late years of the career, I would find another angle, another turn where I could reinvent myself still. And I want to connect this back to your earlier question about the skills. It's really acquiring transferable skills, making the AI work out the details for you. But if you have these human transferable skills, that will make you successful and employable eternally.
Yeah, I think you're talking about two separate but related things when you talk about passion and skills. I'll equate it this way, number one, I think we make a really big mistake, and I heard this growing, I'm a child of the 70s too, I heard this growing up, just follow your passion, as if a singular passion is what's going to make the difference in my life. And I'm a musician and pilot and all these other things, like I have multiple passions, and that would be my first piece of advice to the next generation coming up, is you can have multiple passions, right? But passion isn't enough, right? The skills or the talent is actually what makes the difference. So being able to apply yourself. Talk a little bit about the tough times, because passion gets tested many times in our life. Tell me about a time when you questioned yourself and how you worked through that to get to where you are.
Yeah, I love that you say that. Question myself. I think I question myself on a daily basis. I make mistakes on a daily basis. Mistakes, errors, failure. This is super important because we learn only from this. I make mistakes when it comes to change management because I'm assuming everyone else knows what I know, which is never true. I'm not a good listener. I need to take in the feedback from my people to really say, okay, Anja, now listen to me, let me speak. Did you hear what I just said? So this is why I'm daily learning. I make mistakes every day. I think what is very important for the next generation, and we as leaders, we really build the path for the next generation. This is our task as leaders. Build the future for our companies with the people that the company needs to succeed in the future. As we do that, I think what worries me or concerns me in this young generation now is that they're so fleeting. They're flowing through their jobs and they want too much too early. If I look back for myself, the only thing that I would change when it comes to my early career is I wanted too much too fast. I rushed through life. Enjoy your life. Find your passion, but it's not like you said everything about passion. You also need to be perseverant sometimes. You need to stay in a job. You need to get bored in the job, because when you are in your comfort zone, this is when you grow your confidence, because you ace it, you master it, you know what you're doing, and then look for something new. That type of patience, I think it's innate in young people. We probably also didn't have that.
Yeah.
But that's my advice for young people. Stay a little bit, watch, listen, learn, and only then move on.
Yeah. We listened yesterday to on a main stage event, one of the world's leading technology executives said when he was CEO of his company, he used to take his leaders and he would put them underwater on purpose in a situation for several months, like leading a division or something, like giving them a problem, and as soon as they came up for air, he'd hook them out and put them underwater again.
Yeah.
And do you think that's, from a leadership style, is that a good way to help people understand, I'm helping you grow because I'm going to put you in difficult situations, I'm going to support you, but I'm going to put you in those situations because this is the only way we grow. And I always equate it to, I look at the growth of a tree, for example, and it's not an analogy, a specific growth of a tree, is trees only grow when they're stressed, right? When they're put in an environment with a lot of other trees and they're fighting for sunlight, right? They will grow in different directions to find the sunlight on purpose. It's sort of a natural reaction to stress. Is it important to, in a healthy way, stress the people you work with?
I'm all for taking the leap before you're ready for it.
Yep.
So I wouldn't say no to this, but I think it's the responsibility of us leaders to be very, very sensible about it and really also listen and monitor and observe the people, because not everyone is made for that continuous stress.
Right.
And I think even if people are not made for that continuous stress, it doesn't say anything about their qualities, it doesn't assess their potential to grow. Some people just take longer to grow. And I think this is where we as leaders come in with our experience. What is the right moment to throw someone in the water? And where should we wait a little bit more? But I'm all for stressing the people.
Yep. Yeah. When you're not in a stressful situation, what are you doing to de-stress yourself? I mean, what are some of the things? Because I think that the advice that we give the next generation is, yes, like stick with it, persevere, right? It's going to be tough, but that's how you grow. But then how do you decompress like in those very stressful situations? Like what are you doing to kind of de-stress and so that I can re-energize myself for the next stressful day or next stressful thing that I want to do?
Yeah. I'm a swimmer, so I like doing my laps in the swimming pool. I think this is very meditative. I reflect on a lot of things and I come out as a completely cleansed person, mind and body.
Right.
So that's what I really love. And then I'm a traveler. I have traveled more than 40 countries in this world, so I'm not very much for vacations, but I'm for travels, experience, seeing a lot of other cultures, also diving into other cultures. And then I think it's about people you have surrounding you. You need to have 1, 2, 3 good friends, family members you can always rely on, and you can have the meaningful conversations with. So this is how I decompress. Basically, yeah.
So I think, and I think that's really good advice, building your own personal community. And I think it's something that a lot of people, especially the younger generations coming up, don't really value. They certainly have their group of friends, which is great, but I also think, and I'd like to get your opinion on this, how important is it to evaluate the depth of those friendships and the influence they have on you? Because it can be both a positive and a negative thing, especially if you are working towards a particular goal and you might have 1 or 2 friends that aren't as focused, aren't working towards those things, and can keep drawing you away from that. I see that a lot with this generation. The level of distraction is tremendous, and I don't blame the generations coming up. We've done it to them. We've put all these distractions in front of them. But I feel as a leader, it's partly my responsibility to say that might not be healthy for you, right? So it's almost like a parental. I'm a parent as well. 3 sons. It's a parental reaction to this isn't good for you. How do you approach that when you see unhealthy habits in some of the people that you might be working with or that work inside your group? How are you approaching that?
I mean, I would like to be a mentor and coach that I wanted to have when I was young. And it's like you said, the world has changed tremendously with the social media and all the distractions. What my choice always is if something is a red flag for me concerning another person, I would seek an open conversation. And then it's on the person to make a decision. If they take my advice, if they take my mentorship, my coaching, whatever it is, or not. I have something like a thumb rule saying I cannot sort out other people. Everyone needs to sort themselves out. I can share my advice, I can care, but ultimately I'm not responsible. Everyone is responsible for themselves, and I'm being very transparent about this and say it also. You are empowered. You have this beautiful gift of life. You're empowered to make the most out of it. Do you spend it on social media with not so meaningful friendships, or do you really care for your true friends that sit next to you? That's the only thing we can do. I mean, we cannot live their lives. And I truly believe also life happens in phases. What might be true for a person now can be completely different in 3 years.
Sure.
So we can try our best, we can observe a little bit, we can help them through situations, but in the end, everyone is responsible for themselves.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. In that, I work with a lot of young people in recovery with drug and alcohol addiction. And one of the things I say to them is there are times when it's actually okay and it's healthy to be selfish, that you have to take care of yourself first. What I have seen in a lot of the generations coming up is they want to take on every cause, and especially someone else's problem. And I think part of it is that a genuine intuition to help someone. There's nothing wrong with that. But in that, they forget that their own story is still being written.
Yeah.
And you do have to pay attention. And I'm not a big fan of I'm the main character in my story, because I think that there is a unhealthiness to that. But I do think there are times when, someone has to look at a situation and say, I, to your point, I can't be responsible for you, right? And that's where I have to draw the line. Like, I'm responsible for my life. And I'm not sure that we've done a good job as leaders, as the former generation. We're all, Gen X. That we've ever made that clear that you don't have to take you don't have to carry somebody else's flag for them.
Yeah.
You know, you have to teach them to carry it themselves.
Yeah, I agree with you. I also think maybe we have not done, our generation has maybe not done a good deal of parenting, because we've been the helicopter parents. We opened tons of education opportunities, tons of courses, sports, everything. We pampered our kids, and they have just unlimited choices. And that is something where we need to be responsible about. And maybe the next generation does it in a different way and just really lets people focus on one thing. I really like that when we heard that speech yesterday about how someone raised their kids and really giving clear structure. I also had boys, so I needed to, I was a professional mother, I had boys, I needed to give a very clear structure. The reaction of the boys is completely different, because this is the learning of parenting. You raise personalities, you raise a character that is completely different. Same education, different people. And this is why I strongly believe we need to let them go, make their own choices and own decisions, go through the same failures and errors, mistakes that we made probably, and that's the circle of life maybe. But I truly believe, as I said, I'm optimistic. This next generation has some great potential, great talent, and they will use the social media and all the tech that is coming for the greater good.
Well, we're going to end on one last question, because I find it interesting when I talk to other parents, and I feel like the advice that you give your children, even now as they have gotten older, is as valid as any advice that you could give. So as you consult with your boys now, you know, with all the things going on in the world, what is the one piece of advice that you're giving them?
For me, it's all about being completely open-minded, to let life happen to you, also grab opportunities when you see them, but trust your gut feeling. And then something that is more challenging to them, what I also do every day, is I ask myself, what can I do for my future self? What my future self will thank me for? What is it? And it's a lot about learning maybe. It's also taking leaps. Like, for example, my younger son now is in South Korea for an abroad studies. That's very far away from the family. He lost his credit card yesterday. Fantastic. We need to sort these type of things out. But they will grow, they will learn, and they can do things now that shape their future. And let's be open-minded and always think about the future and what can I do now for it.
Anya, thank you for sharing.
You're
And thank
very
you for bringing on
welcome.
your
Thank
attitudes.
you for your fantastic questions. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
Pleasure. You too.